Hello everyone, today I am going to share with you a video about MaxFlow. The main function of this plugin is to manage your scene files through this node. In your scene, we often encounter, for example, more than one camera. The camera may have a different resolution or different camera angles. The lighting may be different or the material may be different. When we were doing it before, we may need to modify it more. We may need to save more versions, right? With this plugin, you can have a different state in the same scene. This plugin allows you to have different settings from different camera angles. Let's take a look at the official website. Here is a preview. You can see that it can change your different settings and allow you to have different lights and different material effects in your scene. It is convenient for you to manage your scene. For example, here, right, under this camera, it may hide the chair. Under another camera, it shows that the resolution can be different. You can also do a batch rendering. You can create a state for each camera and do a batch rendering. Show all the states to it. You can also put your picture in here as an inspiration for you. Okay. This is the official website. You can have a look at it. There is also a document. Let's have a look. Let's go into today's tutorial. First, let's install it. Let's install it. Here is the installation method of MZP. You choose the corresponding version and drag it into your MZP port. Then you can install it. Because I have already installed it, I will not install it. But you have to pay attention to one thing. If you are using before 2025, for example, 2022 to 2025, after you have installed it, put this thing in the root of your 3D Max. Otherwise, when you open it, it may collapse. You have to pay attention to this. After you have installed it, you open the shortcut configuration or the toolbar. You can drag it to the toolbar under the TRVIZ category. Or you can assign shortcuts to it. After you have installed it, it is a version 2. You can open it. After you open it, you will find that nothing can be used now. You need to activate this thing first. If you activate it, enter your verification code. Then click on the activation. I will activate it first. After activation, these nodes can be used. When we have completed the installation and activation of MaxFlow, we open a scene to show how to use it. Then we open MaxFlow. First, let's take a look at its interface layout. Before we talk about interface layout, first of all, we need to understand some concepts involved in MaxFlow. In fact, it is said to be a state manager. So what is the state? For example, in our usual work, there will be more than one camera in a project. There will be more than one camera. So this camera may have different resolution. Then there may be different materials or objects. So these differences actually make up a state. And then it MaxFlow through these states. I'll use a root state node to make a record. In this case, as long as you apply this state, you can restore some parameter settings that you set at the time. This way, you can save multiple settings in the same Max file. This way, you don't have to set different settings like before. You may need to save a different version to make it easier for you to manage Max. And then, in addition to the definition of this state, we also need a layer. In fact, you can only use one layer. In other words, you can create multiple nodes on the same file. This is all possible, but a more recommended way is to use layers to distinguish. For example, I create a new layer. Then there is only one state in one layer. Is this convenient for you to manage? So when you switch layers, it will automatically send a current layer node state. So if you have multiple state nodes in your layer, then it will take your active node as the node to send the state. So how do you distinguish? In fact, there is a hint in the upper left corner. If you switch it to the current state of the layer, it will send this state in the future. You can also choose here. Then we switch. It still sends it. These are its two concepts. Then let's talk about its toolbar. The above is actually a management of this layer. You can see that there are several layers in this file. Then this is the state of the current layer that is displayed. This is a new layer, an empty layer. This is the duplicate layer. This is delete. Then this is the batch. The batch rendering will show you all the states in the file. Then the two later, we will talk about it later. The first one on the right is actually the same as this one. It shows how many states you have in the current layer. Then you can go to the single machine. There will be a switch. Then if you double-click, it will show the maximum. Then you can also choose the current node. Then this is also batch rendering. It's the same here. Then this is the maximum display of the current node. This is a function of arranging the nodes. Because sometimes the nodes are more, it may be more messy. Then you can click this to shoot. In fact, it is more similar to the node editor in Max. Then this is the vertical array level. This is the moving purple node. If you close it, it will only move it. Then this is a function of history record. What it records is that you may close it in MaxFlow, or say that the storage scenes will all be stored. Then its history storage records will be recorded here. Then you can restore it. Then this is the setting panel. Okay, this is its interface. In fact, it is very simple. Then let's talk about its node. Of course, we don't talk about the top toolbar here. This is a basic state layer. We will talk about this later. Let's not talk about it now. Let's talk about node first. I will delete the other layers first. Then you have to pay attention to the time when you delete the layers. If there is only one layer, this layer cannot be deleted. There must be one layer. Then let's talk about nodes now. Let's open its official website. In fact, it provides many nodes. This node has different functions. In fact, there are also categories, like camera nodes, VRAY environment nodes, and so on. They are all custom config nodes. I will tell you later what is a self-defined configuration node. And then there is the resolution. The rendering outputs. These are all predefined nodes. It is predefined. This can allow you to configure it. Then this state is actually a basic node. All other nodes have to be linked to it. Then you can apply it to the scene. Let's take a look at the camera node first. I will talk about this together. Like camera or sun light. Lights collection is not. Then material. These are all configuration nodes. Let's talk about what is a custom config node. First of all, select a camera. After selecting it, it looks like this. I see if there is a sun. There is a sun, okay. Then I will select another material. After you add these in, you will find that they actually have common points. There is a setting icon here. That is to allow you to configure some parameters, some attributes. For example, if you click on this, it is the property of this camera. I choose the camera here. Open it. After you open it, these parameters are actually listed here. You can choose which parameters to control. And what you have to pay attention to here is that it is because it supports a multi-language. If you are using a Chinese version of this CR camera, then this parameter is Chinese version. I am here now because it is English. You have to pay attention to this. Then you can actually see its name here. Like this target, I select the target. Then some names may be a little different, but can you find a similar one? For example, let's add a zoom. It can filter out, I can hear it. Then another thing to say is that it has a project here. And this whole game. This means that if you set it as a project, then in the current project, you will create this camera node again, because you have already configured this CR camera. Then when you go to create and manage it again, it will automatically record the parameters that you have selected. Of course, it is only at the project level. That whole game is all. If you build a new Max file in the future, it will also record this parameter. When you have finished selecting it, it has already added these two parameters. Now I don't need this, I delete it first. Then I will copy this layer. After copying, let's take a look. In order to make a distinction, I will change its resolution here. Then switch back to the first one. At this time, let's change it to a more reasonable one. That is, every time you switch, it actually defines what you are currently defining. Give it another application. So here I change it to 0, 5. The function that is displayed now is actually a core function of MaxFlow. It provides a lot of nodes. Then allow you to configure the attributes you want to control. Then let's take a look at the other nodes. What I want to add here is like this node, or I add an object node. This camera is actually a special object. In fact, all the objects you can choose from in 3D Max, such as cameras, lights, and clusters, can be added to this. Then the camera is more common, so it is separated from you. I'm going to add another one in here now. For example, I add a box, and I use it to add it to this box. Of course, it also needs to be connected to the state node. Then here I go to select its attributes. For example, select its length and width. Then I'm going to show you that I'm going to take the camera off first. Like this camera or object, this node will actually record your location. I move it, I execute it, it will come back. The camera is the same. Then adjust its parameters. Here you don't have to adjust the parameters in another state. I'm going to take the camera off first. Otherwise, every time we are going to run the camera, I am going to change it to a square. It will switch. Of course, if you want to move a position, you can also define a different position. Then I will add it again. In this case, its state is here. In this case, it will be here. This is a demonstration of its core function. Then let's take a look at the other nodes. Add more objects. Lighting is also added. In fact, this node can also add light. For example, let me demonstrate. It will also add, you can also go to the configuration. This is just one. It actually provides a concept of combining lights, including the combination of objects, Then you can put more. Then I choose to add them all to this. Then I choose to add them all to this. Then I choose to add them all to this. After controlling it now, we are now going to introduce a base state layer. What does it mean? For example, after we add it now, in the current state of this layer, all the lights are on. All the objects are also displayed. If I create a new state now, does it mean that all the controls that have been added, I have to add in a new state. For example, I add one. If I don't add, for example, if I set it to hidden here, in this state, then if I switch to here, it doesn't control. Then I want to be in this state. If they are all displayed and all open, do you have to add them all? But let's run it now. You will find that it will show all and open all by itself. This is the meaning of this foundation layer. Open. There is a basic state in the foundation layer. This state is actually a special state node. It's just that all these normal states, before execution, will execute the state in it first. And this, like lighting or object assembly, it is a special processing of MaxFlow. In your normal state, for example, you add an object. I add another one's. Add it. In the basic state, it will automatically add here. This means that it is convenient for you not to add it again. Right. If you don't add it in this state, then it will use your basic state. If you want to control one separately, then you only need to add one separately. For example, this one. Right. Give it this hidden. Here it is hidden, right? And in the technical state, it's all displayed. This is the meaning of this technical state layer. And now we are talking about this. Well, it will talk about these two buttons. This is preview. For example, we hide all of them, then execute. These objects are all hidden. Sometimes I want to see which ones are hidden in the current state. I can go through this. It will use a single transparent state to help you preview. I turn it off. It hides everything. So I can do some operations. And this is synchronizing the selection in your Max to this list, because it helps you to judge which one you are controlling. For example, I enter the technical state. And now I choose this light. Then I choose it. I can also select all. It helps you to know which one you are choosing. This is also this function of synchronization. Sometimes it will make you lag a little if you have more objects or more objects in the list. So open it when you need it. Close it when you don't need it. This is the basis of it. Let's take a look at the other ones. Now I can connect the camera. Let's delete the other unnecessary ones first. And then the resolution, I just demonstrated it. And then this rendering output here. Here you have to define where you want to save this file when you are rendering. If you are doing PDF rendering, there is a requirement for your state. One is that the camera must be connected. The second is that the path must be set. We can set this path now. I will set it to save here. Okay, after setting it up, then we go back to this state. And now I can adjust the material. Adjust this material node. Of course I can define it in the technical node. For example, this wall. Because this is what I have already defined. So there is a parameter here. Okay, and then I will add it here. For example, under this camera, I hope this wall is blue. Okay, and then here. Here it will return to this yellow, because it uses the material in the technical node. And now we do a batch rendering. Because now there are two state layers. In the first layer, there is no setting. The first layer is setting the rendering output. In the second layer, there is no setting rendering output. So only this layer will do a rendering. Let's do a batch rendering now. Okay, let's not wait for it to finish rendering. Stop directly. And then it wants to find the second one, but the second one doesn't have the rendering output. Okay, this is one of the core functions of MaxFlow. Of course, there are other nodes that I haven't talked about. Here is a simple addition. For example, the modifier node. For the modifier node, for example, I add a modifier on this object. And then you can use this to suck it up. And then pull this out. It can control its parameters. Pay attention here, its angle is 0. And then I can change it to, okay, so now it's on the record. Even if I delete it now, I double-click to execute it. It will restore this again. This is the modifier. Other combinations like this layer. You can also choose a layer. Hide all the layers. You can also control it. There is also a color adjustment in the rendering window. But it doesn't reveal its parameters now. It just records all the parameters in it. It will add them. For example, I change it to 0 now. I execute it. It will be restored here. The post-processing that it provides now, it is a preset form. It will save all your parameters. So after you set it up, for example, if you are satisfied with the current, just click and save it. It hasn't revealed the parameters yet. Let's take a look at the rendering setting. This is a preset. It records the file here. This is the preset in the rendering setting. There is a parameter in the setting panel. This is it. It means that you only apply this node when you apply the rendering. Wait a minute, automatic save. Look, Max is doing automatic save just now. He will save it here. And then this preset means that the hook means to tell you that he will only apply it when the batch is displayed. I suggest you hook this up for him. Because this is the preset. When he is on the application, you are going to run the dual machine. The speed will be slower when you use it, so you can usually hit that hook. If you switch it manually, it will not run, but it can run when the batch is displayed. This saves some of your time. And then take this away. And then the last one is the rendering setting. This is the preset, this is the preset. Maybe you don't need to use the preset sometimes. Maybe you just need to change one parameter. Then I can set it up here. For example, like this. One of CR's rendering settings, right. I can search here. For example, I can limit it to 10 times. You can do it with this. So this feature is actually, you can set it here. You don't need to use this preset. Try not to use this preset node today. Let's check it out. This is basically all of his nodes. Of course, there is an environment. Let's take a look at the environment. The environment is actually the environment in your rendering panel. Here. And here you can use your current environment. You can go to the configuration parameters. And here. In fact, you should pay attention to this one. In fact, you can also configure it here. It's just that this one is more common. So I'm going to list this parameter separately. This is basically MaxFlow, one of his main functions. And then you can download it yourself. And then go. Use it. It can still speed up your usual work efficiency.